Hello and welcome to another episode of TEVAdrive. We are in January of 2020 already, starting the next decade in this nice brand new 2020 Volvo XC90 Inscription Polestar engineered. Very, very long name. Basically, it's a top-of-the-line flagship truck, the biggest SUV from Volvo, and it's also the most powerful, with 400 horsepower. It is, of course, a plug-in hybrid, otherwise we wouldn't be reviewing it. And you remember a few months ago, we test drove the 2019 version, so we will not go through all the options again. We will simply mention some of the changes, quickly go over the options. Because this is a Polestar engineered version, first of all, the drive mode here, the button that didn't change since the last time. By the way, the shifter is different. If you remember, if you look back at the other video, we're gonna show it in the video, the previous crystal shifter. This one has been redesigned now. It looks pretty amazing. So anyways, going back to the start, the drive mode, here's the button, and you have the extra option of Polestar engineered. So you have constant all-wheel drive, which is basically using the front and back. So the front is the 300 horsepower engine, the back is a 100 horsepower electric motor. It's using both. And the next position is pure. It's basically pure electric mode, which only powers their rear wheels, and then the car only uses the 100 horsepower motor. The third one is hybrid, which chooses between different modes and different drives. Individual, you can set your preferences. And of course, Polestar engineered is using both the engine and the motor, and it's a high performance, and the engine revs on quite high revs, you will notice. And we will not use this mode today. And finally, the off-road, because this car is equipped with air suspension, that's one of the options. It basically hikes up the we can actually just show it for a second. The engine will come on, obviously, so when you put it in the off-road, you can see the front of the car going up, and then first the front, then the back, and then again the front. And it goes up quite a few inches. That mode, if you look at the speedometer, it's limited to 40 kilometers per hour only. That's for off-road. And the gearing is basically only gear first and second gear. This is an 8-speed automatic, of course. However, when it's in all electric, it's a direct drive, single speed electric motor on the back wheels, which doesn't go through the transmission. So anyways, this off-road mode hikes up the air suspension, but it's limited to 40 kilometers per hour. Okay, and of course the engine is on right now because it's going to be using both the rear motor and the front engine. Some of the other changes are also cosmetic, rather cosmetic. The front grille has been slightly redesigned, and the front bumper, same with the graphic on the rear bumper, and the skirt in the back has been slightly graphically redesigned. So there are some minor graphic differences in the front and back of the car. The biggest change that we really care the most about is the slightly bigger battery. They went from 10.2 to 11.6, so about 10% bigger battery. They announced that the range would be larger by 15% because they achieved some additional efficiencies. We think that besides maybe the motor running a different software and etc., to be more efficient, let's turn it back into the pure mode to turn off the engine. We like silent driving. There you go. Now the only thing you can hear is the climate. The official EPA rating went from 17 to 18 miles. What I can tell you from our experience this week, and then we'll continue talking as we drive, is that the car starts with a range of 32 kilometers. We were able to achieve that doing a round trip commute from Etobicoke to downtown Toronto and back. We achieved the 30 kilometers, so pretty close to the estimated range. Now that's in winter conditions. It was just around freezing mark. The next day the temperature went down to -5, and then we were only able to achieve about 20 kilometers. So the difference between above zero and below zero seems to affect the range quite a bit. So in the summer conditions without the climate on, you should be able to achieve well over 40 kilometers. When we reviewed the 2019 version of the XC90 T8, we were able to achieve almost 40 kilometers. So with this one, you should be able to do around 45 kilometers in this version. Now, the biggest announcement, let's just hit the road and then we'll keep talking. The most exciting news of all that, which Volvo apparently is not commenting on because we asked them about it, but it was published in various media. So we're in, there we go. Let's go into reverse. So you can see the nice graphic. We really like that. The surround cameras. It's pretty amazing. And of course you have sensors all around. You have the self-park option here, the park assist. It's something that honestly we've had it in quite a few of our cars and we rarely, if ever, used it. So I prefer to kind of parallel park myself. And this one will do parallel and perpendicular as well. So you can see the cameras will come off in a second. So you have the surround view cameras and you have the sensors, which is a must in this size of the car. So the biggest announcement that was kind of slipped out of the CEO's mouth at one of the recent media meetings, was that this car, the XC90, the new generation is coming and it will be revealed next year and it will start deliveries in 2022. That next generation XC90 will be only available in electrified versions, meaning hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and full electric. Okay, now this car here, what do you think the MSRP is for this? Now this car is, of course, like most media or press cars, is stuffed with all the possible options. So as you may have heard before, the T8 version of the XC90, now you have the 3 trims. Of course, you have the Momentum, you have the R Design, and the most expensive is the Inscription. So this is the top version, plus it's been Polestar engineered as well. And it's stuffed with all kinds of options. The asking price for this car is $101,500. Okay, so it's definitely up there. And in this price range, as you know, it's coming pretty close to Model X. And it's actually above the base price of the full electric I-Pace and full electric Audi e-tron. So it's up there. So once the XC90 full electric arrives, which will have to offer at least 95 to 100, maybe even more kilowatt hours battery with powerful electric motors, 2 or 3 of them at least to be competitive with next generation pure electric SUVs. You can expect the price of that car to be well into 6 figures in Canada. Because even with this plug-in hybrid, with a few options, you're already at $100,000 Canadian. So that's a very exciting news. So we can't wait to learn more about it. So there'll be one more model year of the XC90 in its current form. Quite likely there will be more improvements and more standard options before the next generation is introduced. This car basically has the regen, the 2 settings. You have that in regular drive. There are no shift paddles unlike some of the other cars, including the Kia Soul EV we just reviewed, to change the regen settings. You have the D for drive, and then you put it shifted down to B, and this is the braking mode, and then it regenerates the energy much more aggressively. So you have those 2 modes. It doesn't quite allow the same single pedal driving, but in careful driving you can limit the use of the brakes. And of course, this being a Polestar engineered car, it has the Brembo brakes. So you get a lot for the 100 grand, and it's a big car. Now, this car also is one of the very few, which we mentioned previously, very few plug-in hybrid SUVs that has, it's a 7-seater. So there's a 3rd row seat, we'll show you in the video later, in the back. There is also this year, the new thing is that the XC90 is available in a 6-seater version, which is even more luxurious, with captain's chairs both for the 2nd and 3rd row seats. So it's an interesting option for those that don't require the 7 seats. And again, because of the location of the battery, they were able to still offer the 3rd row seat, which most other plug-in hybrid SUVs can't. It's either the plug-in hybrid or the 3rd row. Here even with the plug-in hybrid version, because the battery is located in the center tunnel, you still have the third row seat. So that's about it. Our driving impressions, you know, it's an excellent car. It's a very luxurious car. 400 horses. The car weighs over 2 tons, so it's not a sports SUV by any stretch of imagination, but it is quite fast. The same engine in a V60 or S60 Polestar that we recently drove would give you 4.5 seconds to 100, which is the Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive territory, where this truck, because it weighs over 2 tons, the acceleration is just around 6 seconds. But it still feels fast enough when you switch it into Polestar Engineered. To get that sportiness, you have to use the Polestar Engineered mode, which then uses both the electric motor in the back and the front engine. And 3/4 of that power comes from the gas engine up front. All right, so again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more details on Volvo's electric future.